Hello, I'm the Progressive Disciple. I'm taking a journey through the Bible, and I'm inviting you to join me. Today, we are covering Jeremiah, chapters 35 through 39. Jeremiah asked the Rechabites family to a room within the temple complex, and there he attempts to serve them wine. They refuse because their forefathers have forbid them from drinking wine. In Jeremiah 35, verses 6 through 10, it says, "But they replied, 'We do not drink wine, because our forefather, Jehoshaphat, son of Rechab, gave us this command. Neither you nor your descendants must ever drink wine. Also, you must never build houses, sow seeds, or plant vineyards. You must never have any of these things, but must always live in tents. Then you will live a long time in the land where you are nomads. We have obeyed everything our forefather Jehoshaphat, son of Rechab, commanded us. Neither we, nor our wives, nor our sons and daughters have ever drunk wine, or built houses to live in, or had vineyards, fields, or crops. We have lived in tents and have fully obeyed everything our forefather Jehoiada commanded us.'" God used this as an example of how Judah had not obeyed him and commended this family for their obedience. I often think of advice my mother has given me. Alcoholism runs deep in my family. One day, Mom drank too much and actually passed out. At that point, she decided not to drink anymore. And she advised both me and my sister not to drink alcohol. I have taken this advice to heart and have avoided alcohol. My sister, on the other hand, did not, and she eventually died of alcoholism. It seems to me that parents understand the nuances of family relationships. They know where your family history deviates from other people, and I think the advice they give should be listened to. In the early days of King Jehoiakim, Jeremiah had a scribe write on a scroll all the prophecies that he had up to that time. He then commanded his scribe to go to the temple and read this. After having read, the king's official thought that the king should hear this, and so they took the scribe and read it to the king. They also advised the scribe and Jeremiah to hide for a while. In Jeremiah chapter 36, verses 23 through 25, it says, "Whenever Jehudi had read 3 or 4 columns of the scroll, the king cut them off with the scribe's knife and threw them into the fire pot until the entire scroll was burned in the fire. The king and all his attendants who heard these words showed no fear, nor did they tear their clothes, even though Elnathan, Delina, and Gormortha urged the king not to burn the scroll. He would not listen to them." Have you ever just wanted to make information you did not like go away? Like a diagnosis of cancer, or in my case, colon polyps? Sometimes we think, if I did not go to the doctor, I would not have to deal with this. But ignoring problems like these only makes matters worse. In this case, the king did not succeed in getting rid of this information, for Jeremiah just dictated another scroll. Jeremiah 38 starts with Egypt temporarily breaking the siege of Jerusalem. Jeremiah ended up getting arrested when he tried to leave Jerusalem to attend to land that was entitled to him. He was accused of trying to go over to the Babylonians. He denied this, but he was not believed and was imprisoned in a dungeon where he stayed a long time. He was called by King Zedekiah to get the word of the Lord. Jeremiah told him that he would be delivered into the king of Babylon. But then he made a request of the king. In Jeremiah chapter 37, verses 18 through 20, it says, "Then Jeremiah said to King Zedekiah, 'What crime have I committed against you, or your attendants, or this people, that you have put me in prison? Where are your prophets who prophesied to you, the king of Babylon will not attack you or this land? But now, my lord, the king, please listen. Let me bring my petition before you. Do not send me back to the house of Jonathan, the secretary, or I will die there.'" It's important to stand up for justice. And I admire how Jeremiah stood up for himself, even after giving King Zedekiah bad news. Zedekiah relented by imprisoning Jeremiah in the courtyard of the guard and giving him bread. In chapter 38, Jeremiah was still telling people that if they stayed in the city, they would be killed. But if they went over to the Babylonians, they would live. This offended many of the king's officials, and they wanted to put Jeremiah to death. The king did not oppose them, so they put Jeremiah in a well where he sunk into the mud. Abed-Melech, a Cushite, pleaded with the king to release Jeremiah. Zedekiah finally ordered 30 men to pull Jeremiah out of the well. At the end of chapter 39, Jeremiah makes a prophecy about Abed-Melech. In Jeremiah chapters 39, verses 15 through 18, it says, "While Jeremiah had been confined in the courtyard of the guard, the word of the Lord came to him. 'Go and tell Abed-Melech the Cushite, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. I am about to fulfill my words against this city, words concerning disaster, not prosperity. At that time they will be fulfilled before your eyes. But I will rescue you on that day, declares the Lord. You will not be given into the hand of those you fear. I will save you. You will not fall by the sword, but will escape with your life, because you trust in me, declares the Lord.'" I have to give Abed-Melech credit for doing the right thing. This reminds me to trust in the Lord. Back in chapter 38, Zedekiah calls Jeremiah in to ask for the word of the Lord again. Jeremiah gets Zedekiah to promise that he would not kill him. Zedekiah gave him such a promise and promised not to turn him over to anybody who would kill him. In Jeremiah chapter 38, verses 17 through 18, it says, "Then Jeremiah said to Zedekiah, 'This is what the Lord God Almighty, the God of Israel, says. If you surrender to the officers of the king of Babylon, your life will be spared and the city will not be burned down. You and your family will live. But if you will not surrender to the officers of the king of Babylon, this city will be given into the hands of the Babylonians, and they will burn it down. You yourself will not escape them.'" After asking for advice from Jeremiah and God, the king does not follow that advice. In chapter 39, the Babylonians break through the wall of Jerusalem. King Zedekiah attempts to escape, but he is captured and brought to King Nebuchadnezzar. All of Zedekiah's sons and the nobles of Judah were killed before Zedekiah. And then Zedekiah was blinded and imprisoned in Babylon. I wonder, why didn't Zedekiah follow the advice that he had asked for? A lot of times we ask for advice, myself included, not because we really want advice, but we want vindication for the action that we have already decided to do. I believe this is a flaw in my character. When you hear good advice, you need to think carefully about it. You should not totally make up your mind on what you're going to do until you've actually thought things through. So this is my take of Jeremiah, chapters 35 through 39. Please like and subscribe to my videos. Also, leave a comment. What do you think about the advice your parents gave you? When has ignoring a problem made things worse for you? And how do you stand up for justice? Have you followed or ignored advice about something that you wanted to do? Please leave a comment. I am the Progressive Disciple, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.